Hi guys, my name's Cassie Kerr. I'm one of the co-founders of Pivotal Crew. We're a ConnectWise PSA and CPQ consulting firm. And I wanted to show you today something that I built recently, which is my own CSAT survey tool using Cognito Forms, which is a web form builder. And I was able to automatically export the entries from that form into a CSV and get that synced into MSPbots for reporting purposes. So I kind of wanted to show off what I built. I think it's kind of cool. It's not, like one of the smile backs or anything like that, but it works. And so I wanted to show you guys how I built it. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and kind of walk you through it. Also, I'll mention too, if you follow me on LinkedIn and saw my post about the negative survey that I got, it was actually my first negative survey, so I was a little sad. But I'll tell you a story about that at the end of this, if you're interested, about how that all turned out. So, first of all, this is the email that someone would get after our ticket closes. I did have ChatGPT help me with the HTML formatting. I'm not great with HTML. I can do a little couple tweaks, but it helped me with the design. It even designed the little octo faces that you see. So our logo is an octopus, if you can't tell, that's an octopus. And so I just asked it to give me like three faces, one happy, one kind of straight face, and one sad face. So I think it came out really cute. Um, and then these have links embedded in the images. So if I click on satisfied, that's going to open up a link over here. And I have the form showing the happy octopus again. You can leave some comments optionally. I have this little message here that is dynamic depending on which face they selected. So if they choose the satisfied, then it says, thanks again, Cassie, if you'd be willing to share your experience publicly, click below to leave a quick review. You'll be directed to our Google review page. So they have the option, they can click leave a Google review, and then that would take them to our Google page. And we've already had one person fill that out from the survey, so that works. It's been pretty awesome. Um, and then if they click neutral, uh, thanks for your feedback. We're always looking for ways to improve, and your input helps us do better next time. And then they don't get the Google review option if they click on this one or the dissatisfied, right? Because I don't necessarily want to point them to Google if they're not happy with us. But this one, so we're really sorry to hear that things didn't go well. Your feedback has been sent to our team so we can look into it. And you'll notice I've got my name in there as well. So I'll kind of show you how that works. Um, one big difference between, this survey and maybe some of the other tools out there is that I'm not capturing the result unless they actually hit one of the submit buttons. So they do have to hit submit. They don't have to leave a comment, but they do have to click submit. But we've already, like, that hasn't been a problem. We've had pretty much everybody click submit on there. One other thing I'll point out is the URL here. So you'll see Cognito Forms, and then it's passing in all this information. So company name, it's got Pivotal Crew name, first, Cassie, last Kerr. I'll kind of talk more about that. But I'm passing information using variables in ConnectWise to auto-populate some hidden fields. So let me show you. We go into Cognito first. So this is the form. You could, I'm sure, use any like web form builder that allows you to do those pre-filled URLs that I'm using. But I have fields for, capturing the ticket number, summary, the company name, contact name, ticket owner, the email address of the contact, the rating. So this gets pulled in based off of the link that the image that they choose. I just have that kind of hard coded in. Um, these images will display, so I have those dynamically displaying depending on the rating that's chosen. My contact comments field, And then these are all the different comments or the little notes that show depending on what rating it is. And then I'm passing in the first name from up here, where I'm collecting it from ConnectWise actually. And then I have options for different submit buttons. So in the workflow here, I have a button called leave a Google review, and then they only see that action when the rating is satisfied. And then it'll just redirect them to my Google review page that I have in there. And then I also have it sending an email to all of us at Pivotal Crew, add the little smiley octo face, and then just all the information from there. So we're all getting an email anytime somebody leaves a review. And then if they choose, no thanks, just submit, then it's just going to submit that entry. We're still going to get an email with all that information. We just don't redirect them to the Google review page in that case. And then we have just a normal submit button. If they choose a rating that's not satisfied, they only see the option to submit. And then I'm sending a different email depending on if they chose satisfied or dissatisfied. I've got these different emails in here to show the different faces. So today we got the sad face, and I'll talk more about that. So that's kind of how the Cognito Forms works. In ConnectWise, I have a workflow rule that sends the email. I like to use workflow rules because I only want to send the email just once on a closed ticket. In a lot of systems that I'll see, people will have like a closed and a closed no survey. And one of the reasons for that is when you close a ticket, if you've got the email tied to the status itself, every time you save it in that status, it's going to trigger that email. So with the workflow rule, I'm just sending it once. So if the ticket gets reopened and closed again, I can use the same closed status and it's not going to trigger this email again. And then mine, I don't want to send it if it's a recurring ticket type because we do have just one service board and we have, service requests and incidents and, just general questions that are being asked. And then we have tickets that are like recurring. I have like 3 calls a week with one client and there's tickets on there for that. And I don't want to send them a survey every time we have one of our normal recurring calls. So I don't send surveys for recurring tickets. But you could kind of build out whatever logic you want for, the types of tickets you want to send surveys on. I don't like leaving it as an option for someone to choose that they don't want to send a survey. If they think the client's not going to be happy with them and they don't want to get a negative survey, I try to remove that option from people's systems because we want to get that feedback ultimately. And so action is we're going to send an email to the contact. I've got the email template in here. And then in the source code, again, I had ChatGPT help me with all of this, but I just gave it the URL that I needed, which is right in here. So if they click on the happy face, it's going to give them this link. I put it here in a notepad to see if that's a little bit easier to read. But basically, I've got the form, and then this part of the form is saying, or this part of the link is pre-filling in fields of the form. So this is how it gets all of that information. And I'm filling in, the company name field on the form is pulling in the company name variable. So it's going to grab it from that ticket. Same with, the contact name, email, ticket number, summary, ticket owner, and then I'm just passing in a static satisfied for if they click that face. So that's how that works. And then I wanted a way to be able to report on this in MSPbots. And so MSPbots has a OneDrive integration, so I can upload a CSV and have it sync to that CSV to get entries. But I didn't want to have to like manually, like once a week or whatever, pull all the entries out. And so Cognito's Forms has an integration with Power Automate, Now, I am not a Power Automate expert. I did get some help from my friend Mindy Green and also my friend ChatGPT to help me build these out. But it was pretty easy and straightforward actually, and it works. So I've got one flow that um, looks for when a new entry is added into Cognito on that form, and then it's going to add a row into an Excel table. And then I've got all of these fields here that I've mapped. So that's all it does is just updates an Excel sheet with the new row and a new entry's added. But MSPbots needs it to be in a CSV file. So I have a second flow that is going to convert it into a CSV. So it looks at when that Excel sheet was last updated, it grabs all the information. This condition is just checking to see if it matches on the file name. And then if it does match that file name, then it's gonna get the tables, it's gonna grab all the rows. I'm selecting the data here and formatting it, creating the CSV table, and then creating and saving the file. So it's gonna overwrite the last file that I had. And so in OneDrive, I just got these two files here. And then in MSPbots, I was able to integrate those. So I've created these widgets. So I've got my CSAT percentage for the last 90 days, so 95%. It was at 100, but I'll tell you about that negative survey in a moment. So I'm just looking at the way I've calculated this is I'm counting all of the satisfied surveys and dividing that by all surveys. And then I'm also looking at our response rate, which has actually been pretty good. So month to date, we're at 31%, which is, I think, really good. And so I'm looking at the total number of surveys we've received divided by all the closed tickets. So that would be all the tickets that we would have sent surveys on. So it's only been in place, for a couple of weeks now, but we've already had quite a few responses come in. All right, and that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. I'll tell you that story now. So, woke up this morning to the negative survey. It was a ticket that I closed. Somebody reached out and they were asking for a custom report. And we don't do custom report writing. I'll help with Brightgauge. I know a little bit about Report Writer, but I can't do anything that's like too complex. So we refer everybody to NextNow. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. They're amazing. And so I responded and I said, hey, we recommend reaching out to NextNow for custom reports. This one's just, unfortunately, this is just a little more complex and not straightforward. And he wasn't happy. He was, felt that, we didn't try to help or give any kind of workaround. We just passed him off to somebody else. And so, that stung a little bit. I've never gotten a negative survey before. But I wanted to, take that opportunity to, think about how I could have handled it better. So I did reach out to him, thanked him for his feedback. And, I explained why I wasn't able to help in that situation. And I, explained the complexity of what he was asking for. And then I did say, hey, if you wanted to do this like in Excel, like this is kind of, how it would work in Excel. But I'm also not an Excel expert. I did try some ChatGPT formulas to figure it out for a little bit, but it wasn't working for me. So I kind of gave up. But it's just not my area of expertise. So once I sent him that, he was so thankful and he was like, that was like the breadcrumb I needed. Like I have Excel experts on my team. So I just need to know like, how this and that works. And so I replied to him, gave him kind of the breakdown of how it works in ConnectWise, how the logic is built. And then he was so thankful after that. He was like, that was so helpful. So, I was glad that I was kind of able to turn that around and I wasn't just like feeling defeated or felt like, I didn't deserve that kind of feedback. At the end of the day, like it's not something we normally help with, but if I would have just explained to him early on, what I did after I reached out to him and why I wasn't able to help, I think it would have been a much better experience. So um, anyway, I hope you guys, like this, learn something. And yeah, if you need any help or have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is Cassie@pivotalcrew.com. And go easy on me in the comments. This is my very first YouTube video. But thanks, guys. Bye.